Seoul Metropolitan Government, South Korea. In the midst of a peaceful city, suddenly there was a huge explosion that destroyed the city of Seoul. On that day, a nuclear missile fired from the enemy headed straight for the capital city of Seoul. That day, how the world ended. The story is long and complicated. There are many interesting parts in it. 3 years before the nuclear war, Park Kyu made wise preparations for the future. The fact of the irreparable end for mankind was coming. It was already a story that was talked about everywhere. But there are only two groups that are truly prepared for the crisis. The first is the upper-class people who have so much wealth that they worry about everything. And the second, people who are delusional that the world will be destroyed tomorrow. So they bet on everything they have. This is a lesson from reality. Of course, on the latter. First of all, I will liquidate all my assets and diligently gain knowledge and information to survive the apocalypse. The first and most important mission. What I learned from all of that was how to determine where to build my shelter. Which location should be chosen to build a shelter? There are 3 main requirements for choosing a location. First, there are few people around and no one can find it in an emergency. However, it is connected to the city. Second, an advantageous place for defense in an emergency situation. And lastly, money. After all this, I have to finish it with my existing money limit. The location chosen was a quiet forest under an Air Force unit in the outskirts of the capital. Then there was an old man who asked him. He said, Are you from Seoul? From now on, after we become neighbors, let's establish a good relationship. Park Kyu also said in his heart, I don't really remember this old man, but it seems like his name has Kim. Old Man Kim, the owner of the land near that area. Now that we've decided on the location, it's time to start construction. I'm gathering people to work with. Park Kyu showed the excavator he was carrying, and then he said to the men, the necessary equipment is here. I'll work too. Then Park Kyu used the excavator, and he said, at first, they didn't want me to work. But after I bought them some drinks for a few times and gave them some snacks, this problem was successfully resolved. Then came someone who threw dirt at the people there, and the person who threw it was Old Man Kim. He said, What are you doing here? What are you doing drunk every day? You've gotten permission to build, and you're messing around. They all said, damn it. The person who was thrown said, Is that old man crazy? Park Kyu said, I don't know if it's a rural thing, but Old Man Kim does have a bad temper like that. There's no particular reason. It's just that because of that, no one wants to deal with him. Then a worker who was driving an excavator was seen scolding someone. He said, Hey, get out of the way. Are you planning to be destroyed? And there was Old Man Kim lying on the ground, and he was blocking the path of the excavator. There he said, If you're going to keep digging, you can protect me now. Seeing that situation, Park Kyu said in his heart, Is he trying to disturb anyone? One of the workers brought an axe and he said, There are some things I should take from that old man. Park Kyu held the man back and he said, Patience. Then he took the axe and he said, I'll do it myself. And he said in his heart, Of course, I'm not a saint. In those days, I lost my temper. 950 days before the nuclear war, around that time, Park Kyu walked away to look for Old Man Kim. On the way, Park Kyu saw Old Man Kim talking to a man who was driving a car. There the man said, No need to talk any longer. Just give this land in my name. From now on, we will take care of you. Old Man Kim said, No, you can't do that. The man started to get angry with Old Man Kim. He said, What? Why don't you sell it and stay here? You always make trouble when we offer to take care of you. Why? Then he pulled Old Man Kim's shirt, and he said, You gave all the good land to my sister. All that's left for me now is a shack house and some rice fields. You should have given this land to me, damn it. Then he threw Old Man Kim, causing him to fall to the ground. Park Kyu was still watching from a distance. As Old Man Kim was in pain, he said, I've been holding back my anger for years. At least now you should act like a father. Answer me. Are you going to give me this land or not? Then he raised his hand and looked like he wanted to hit Old Man Kim. Park Kyu tried to draw attention to the two of them. He cleared his throat and the man glanced back. Then Park Kyu looked at him and the man felt awkward with his situation. He said, Damn it, what the hell? Then he said, Anyway, give the soil to me before you die. If not, I'll really burn it. I'm warning you. Then he left in his car. Park Kyu was silent as he watched the man leave. Then he glanced at Old Man Kim. And he said, Do you want a cigarette? Then they chatted with each other there. Old man Kim asked, "Do you have parents?" Park Kyu replied, "They died in an incident." Old man Kim said, "I see." Park Kyu said, "Why don't you sell the land and live somewhere else? It's not easy to take care of her alone." Old man Kim was silent for a moment. Then he said, "The only thing I gave my daughter, it's as useless as the land you dug up." But who knew a 10-lane road would open up in front of her? "You want me to sell this land and buy another somewhere." Then he recalled the memories he had with his wife, and he said, "I can't do it. That's impossible. Let's go now." Park Kyu said in his heart, "I don't know what I did for old man Kim until now." But one thing is for sure, this short conversation was enough to fill old man Kim's tightly closed heart. Just like the 10-lane road. After that day, he no longer interfered with the construction. Then the day went on. 925 days before the nuclear war, construction was still continuing and old man Kim didn't seem to interfere with the construction process. 581 days before the nuclear war, Park Kyu and old man Kim were gardening there. 211 days before the nuclear war, Park Kyu and old man Kim were harvesting the vegetables. 37 days before the nuclear war, it started snowing and they entered the snow season. And finally, the day the nuke hit the capital, there was a sound that shook heaven and earth. The day of the anniversary of the air raid that announced the end of the world. Their old man Kim said, Hey, Park Kyu. My son who lives in Seoul, is he still alive? Please find my son." Old man Kim came to the front of the completed air defense shelter. Then Park Kyu tried to find information on his laptop. And he came back to old man Kim, and he said he's dead. Old man Kim was devastated by that. Park Kyu said, "Soon there will be a second airstrike, including the capital region. In the meantime, stay in my place because it's very dangerous outside." Then old man Kim held Park Kyu's shoulder, and he said, "No, I can't leave my house. But thank you for making that offer." Park Kyu went back into his bunker, where he said, "The apocalypse has begun." Without any warning. There his cell phone rang, and he got a call from a construction worker. There he looked at the CCTV monitor, and he saw in front of his bunker there was a man carrying an axe. Park Kyu said, "Those who are not dead." Then there we see someone who has a blank stare. And that person is old man Kim. There he is remembering memories with his wife. But it was the last moment before he decided to hang himself while looking at the destruction of the world. Park Kyu said, "And those who survived." Then he went out of his bunker with an axe. And he went up to the man he had previously seen on the CCTV and said, "All of them are enemies." 852 days before the end of the world. Park Kyu and old man Kim were hunting, and they managed to get a wild boar. Old man Kim excitedly said, "Was it shot? You managed to catch it without using a gun? Hey, look here, you bastard. When I was in the special unit, I'd even received praise from the country for my shooting skills." Park Kyu said in his heart, "After I investigated, it turns out that old man Kim was a state trooper." Then he glanced at the gun that old man Kim was carrying. He said, "Shotguns are quite useful weapons for the future. But that's still not enough." At that moment, my eyes fell on the airbase, near where I was. The base where the troops of South Korea and the United States are stationed together. The anti-monster special unit seems to have some hunters living here as well. This is really the best condition to get weapons in case of an apocalypse. For now, our rough plan is like this. In the event of a war with the enemy, the airbase near Jeongi-do will be the main target. When the nuclear attack begins and the base becomes chaotic, my plan is to wear protective clothing and take military equipment there. While I was looking for such an opportunity, I received a deal offer from an unexpected source. There was someone who approached Park Kyu, and he said, "By the way, sir, do you want to have a gun?" 823 days before the end of the world. The name of the hero was Kim Wang-soo. There Kim Wang-soo said, "There are many people like you in China." Park Kyu also explained that he was a construction company worker assigned to build air defenses, a Korean who came from the gangster in China. Kim Wang-soo said, "It's not in the news in the West, but all the provinces around Inner Mongolia have been eaten by monsters. Even if we don't do it, hundreds of millions of people will die." Park Kyu also said in his heart, "That man seems to have a connection with the underworld. This man seems to have gone to Korea to work hard and make more money, it seems." Kim Wang-soo said, "If you have money, it's a hassle to buy a bomb shelter. Even if you build it like this, wouldn't it be difficult if you don't have proper weapons? Park Kyu said to himself, such a soft-spoken manner, it seems like he wants to show off his connections. Then Park Kyu accepted the deal. He said, let's see the goods when the construction is completed. Kim Wang-soo said, good decision, sir. Park Kyu said in his heart, right now, there's no reason to reject the offer. And on the day of the transaction, I did a background check on that man through a private investigator before we made the transaction. I found out that Kim Wang-soo is not a member of the Northeast Yanbian affiliated organization, but he is a former member of the Shanghai Triad organization in China. These goods also came in through connections there, but I don't really care. Then Kim Wang-soo came to greet Park Kyu. He said, sir has arrived. They will be here soon with your things. Let's wait a moment. Park Kyu said in his heart, I just need the things. Then, while they were waiting, Park Kyu looked at the cell phone Kim Wang-soo was holding. There he saw his son asking, when is daddy coming home? Park Kyu said, is it your daughter? Kim Wang-soo said, yes, she's 7 years old now. I don't know what she looks like because she hasn't been home for a long time. Then a truck came there and Kim Wang-soo said, here she is. Let's go. The goods were taken out of the truck. There Kim Wang-soo explained that there were 3 Type 56 rifles, 307.62mm bullets, and 3 magazines. Park Kyu also checked the weapons. He said, the stuff I got. The weapons are like new and appear to have no problems with use. After that he put the weapons back into the box and then he looked at Kim Wang-soo, who was talking to the drivers in the truck. There Kim Wang-soo said, so, South Korea is pretty good too. Then he noticed Park Kyu's gaze, and he immediately approached Park Kyu with a look that looked like he was suspicious of him. He said, come on, sir. Come to think of it, do you really live alone in an air shelter? It's not too big for you to be alone. Then Park Kyu looked at Kim Wang-soo's hand on the gun. Then Park Kyu answered, yes. I'm alone. Kim Wang-soo said, oh, really? Park Kyu said, what? Is there a problem? Then he prepared the weapon that was behind his shirt. Kim Wang-soo continued to stare at Park Kyu with a suspicious look at him. Then he became friendly again, and he said, haha, no. Park Kyu said, I was just thinking that the shelter should be big so that I can accommodate everyone who comes. Kim Wang-soo said, wow, you're the boss. You look young too. Park Kyu said, if you don't have a place to stay later, please come see me. You know the place anyway. Kim Wang-soo said, I have nothing to do after this. I plan to return to the Northeast to see my daughter. So I won't be coming back here for a long time. Then take a look at the goods, and I will send you the ammunition and magazines after you pay. Park Kyu said in his heart, when he said he wouldn't come back here. I don't think he was lying, and I'm sure of it. And back to the present. Inside the bunker, Park Kyu received a call from construction employee Kim Wang-soo. Park Kyu said, before he returns to his country, he will definitely need shelter and weapons to survive. Besides, I know where he is and where he will appear. No need to think about it for long. Then he answered the call. He said hello. And there was Kim Wang-soo, who was running while carrying an axe in his hand. There he answered, oh, sir. Park Kyu said, why are you calling me? Kim Wang-soo said, it's nothing, I brought the bullets and stuff myself. The payment has also been completed. Where would you like to meet now? Park Kyu said in his heart, the good news is, he who is now the enemy came alone. Then he took the axe and came out of the bunker. Park Kyu said, so I have to fight him when he's alone. Then they faced each other while preparing to fight. Then Kim Wang-soo quickly lunged, and he tried to cut Park Kyu's head off. But Park Kyu was able to dodge the attack, and he immediately moved towards Kim Wang-soo's back. After that, he immediately gave an attack, and his attack managed to hit the neck of Kim Wang-soo. Then he continued his attack, and Kim Wang-soo was bleeding heavily from his neck. In his dying condition, Kim Wang-soo spoke in his country's language. He said, what the hell are you? Soldier or agent? Or something like that. Then he crawled to Park Kyu's feet while pleading, please forgive me, please. Please save my life, please. Park Kyu said, that's quite difficult. Even if I don't kill you, you'll soon die of blood loss. Then Kim Wang-soo said, then kill me quickly. Park Kyu immediately killed him. After that, there was a ringtone from the cell phone. Park Kyu said, you didn't come here alone. Then he took the cell phone from his pocket, and there it was seen that his daughter was calling him. Then Park Kyu saw the conversation with his daughter. There was Kim Wang-soo saying, son, I miss you. His daughter also said, "Papa, hurry home." Park Kyu also said, "Papa, hurry home. I don't have time to be sentimental. There's nothing to do now." And 29 days after the nuclear tragedy, Park Kyu began to explore the city. He said, "As soon as the radiation detector showed the level at which I could go out, I went straight to the Air Force Base." Arriving there, Park Kyu said, "I didn't know it would come to this. Military facilities and well-equipped weapons. Enough to form a mercenary group. In the end, the answer was my rough plan. Sometimes I still think about it. If Kim Wang-soo had come here before me. No, if he hadn't made a deal with me in the first place. We have survived. In this Dan Doomsday world. Or did he meet his daughter again? But probably not.